Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. I'm your host, Boston, and join me over there, as always, Mr. Moonpier.
Hello.
We're wrapping up our third episode of our Fooly Cooly season, and after this, never watching anime again. I'm kidding. We have more in the future, much further in the future.
Don't tempt me to agree with that point because
Yeah.
this season's been confusing, to say the least.
Yeah, I think that's probably the mildest word we could use for this show so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because boy, both seasons so far have been an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, occasionally it happens in an anime. In an anime? In an anime. An
See an
anemone.
enemy?
An anemone. Occasionally it happens where the anime doesn't know what it wants to do.
Oh,
So
100%. Yeah.
more often than not, like it's because the manga doesn't know what it wants to do, and then the anime is just like, well, we're just gonna make some BS up for a little bit
We're going to go to the
until
beach?
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Krillin's gonna get his driver's license.
That's a great episode, by the way.
I know. Or to use the Bleach reference, the whole Bounty saga, which
boy.
is hot garbage.
Super woof.
But it's like occasionally it does happen in the manga to anime traversal that this happens, and usually it's like, you get a rough quote unquote season,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes back to what it wants to be.
Right, you get done with your
Naruto-
filler arc, and then you're done.
In Naruto's case, it's like, oh, here's the big fight between Sasuke and Naruto, and then it cuts, and then Naruto Shippuden is born from that, and it's just like, what?
What happened?
There's
What'd you
10
guys do?
years have passed? What happened, please?
Right.
This feels like an anime filler season.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Like, that's how, in my head, like...
Look at these
that's how
crazy
these
adventures
felt.
they were having while someone else was over here doing something else.
Yeah. Goku's busy in the time chamber. What are we going to do for the 24 hours while Goku's in the time chamber?
Right. Have adventures.
Uh-huh.
Well, on that note, we're watching Fooly Cooly Alternative, which...
Okay, I'm going to cross out the word thingy and write alternative because I wrote Critical Misses Season 5, Episode 3, Fooly Cooly Thingy, because I couldn't remember the name of it.
That's the other side story. Fooly Cooly Gaiden. So this is the third and final season, the two that were kind of ordered at the same time. And I feel like I have even less expectations for this going into it after watching Progressive. It was like, oh, Progressive, that was a direct sequel. Okay, that's not what I was expecting.
Yeah, we're also going to reiterate that this is one that both you and I haven't seen. Like,
Correct.
we literally are going in blind.
Right. So, like, I don't even know if this is a direct sequel or not. Let's read the summary here. It's a little bit long, and I apologize. I'll try and go through it pretty quick. But there's some good info nuggets in here. So it says, life seems to drift for Kana Kamoto and her friends in their small Japanese town. They didn't say Mabase, so we'll see. Every day is just like the last, and it feels like every new day will be the same.
So it's a very ordinary town is what you're saying. I get you.
Yeah. Side note, a little tired of that now. Kana goes to school, hangs out with her friends, and likes to paint her nails and listen to music, but feels like nothing special is ever going to happen. F. As a change of pace, Kana and her friends decide to design a bottle rocket and launch it into space, even though it might not get there at all. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, it does.
Yeah, like my brain was just like, boy, is it funnier to say that it isn't, or is it funnier to say, well, it's Fooly Cooly, so it definitely will?
Yeah.
However,
Dude, it's going to transform into a Gundam and blast off into space is what it's going to do.
However, just when the rocket is completed, a robot suddenly crashes into and destroys it.
Nailed it!
Shortly followed by a pink-haired woman claiming to be a galactic investigator. Kana's life quickly becomes more exciting than she ever imagined, dealing with new feelings, changing friends, and even boy troubles. It turns out life can go by in the blink of an eye, fast enough to even miss it, so what's with these weird robots that seem to show up at the worst times? End quote.
The worst times being when everybody is horny, as we've already established.
Right.
Like,
It's just a
But
musical without the singing. We're replacing the singing of your emotions with, bam, a robot comes out of your head. So I feel like the conceit here, the overview is interesting. Unfortunately, it is, stop going back to the well of like, well, it's just a boring normal life. It's like that's like 99% of the planet. Like, I get it. Like, being a teenager is boring. We've all been there.
No,
Then robots.
no, I'm sorry. Being a teenager is not boring. Being a teenager is probably the most exciting time of your life because literally everything is changing. You have no idea what's going on. You don't know how you feel. You can be high as a kite one day and down in the dumps the next day. Being a teenager is anything but boring.
Right.
Being an adult is the boring part.
Right.
You go through the same boring monotony day after day after day.
Right. Yeah, I like this idea of like, well, we're bored, so let's build a bottle rocket and just launch it into space, whatever. And then, of course, it's Fooly Cooly, so robots, and clearly the pink-haired galactic investigator has to be Haruko. If it isn't, then that would be a little bit weird.
The fact that they say pink hair makes me know that it is. Period.
Yeah, and like, I guess my question is, I think it's fair to say that both of us felt a little bit sour on Progressive. Not bad. It's not one of those things where it's like, boy, I sure just wasted 2 hours of my life. It was fine. Like, episode 5 was beautiful. Like, that'll be the one I'd go back to watch and be like, ooh, man, look at this thing. But after the ending of Progressive, where do we go from here?
Okay, well, number one, the questions I want answered here.
Sure.
Who is Medical Mechanica?
That's a great question.
What is Fooly Cooly? Really, what is Fooly Cooly?
No, but for real.
Is NO just horniness? Like, it's the same questions we've been asking since 1990 even, depending on when you watch this. I don't know when it came out originally. I've already forgotten that.
99, I think.
Okay, what? So it's the same question you've been answering since you were 26.
Right.
I know you're not that old. That was a joke. Boston is old.
No, yeah, I'm 39 right now, so 20, not 28. Anyways, I think my big questions are we going to retread the same ground? Because after watching the original, I still really like all of those episodes. But Progressive, like we talked about last time, largely felt like a retread. Where it's like, all right, well, you guys loved this thing. How about we just kind of do it again? How does that sound? We like twist it a little bit, but not really. Like, are we just going to see Haruko using another kid to get to the Pirate King and then fail and then ride off on the Vespa again at the end? And it's just like
1,000% we are.
I don't want that to happen. There's just... Yeah, that I think that's my real worry is, are we going to go back to the well again when the well feels like it's getting pretty dry at this point?
I think we will. I think it's going to be really, really annoying.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm curious to see is if there's going to be a stylistic change between Progressive and Alternative. I kind of hope, because Progressive looked fine, if not a little bit cheap for when it came out. But I'd like to see them kind of stretch their wings a little bit, no pun intended, for another season. I didn't look up who made this season. I should have done that. But yeah, To be completely transparent, I am a little bit worried going into this because I feel like I don't think any of this will be bad enough where I'm like, oh, Fooly Cooly could go to hell. But I think I have some reservations after the last season where it's like, oh, if we're just gonna tread the same ground again, not super, super interested in that.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, like if this starts the same way like, and it looks like it's going down that path,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be a struggle to
Mm-hmm.
to get through it, kind of thing. Where
I
it's
live in a
like,
quiet town where nothing happens. There's this big iron in town. Boo.
mhm.
Like it's just like, okay, cool. We're gonna be doing this again, huh? Um,
Mm,
yeah.
that's.
All right. Oops,
I'm
go ahead.
hoping it doesn't happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, especially after progressive, like let's see something new and cool with this style that you're making.
Mhm.
Uh, all right. Any final thoughts here before we go watch the episodes?
I hope it's good.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Two double necked guitars crossed. Two. What kind of cool car are we gonna see this time? Are we gonna see like a cool motorcycle? Like who's gonna get hit in the head by some sort of vehicle this time? A plane, maybe? Just the
Oh,
bottle rocket, maybe?
well, we've done motorbikes, we've done cars. It's got to be a jet.
Yeah,
That's why I
that's right.
said it's a
Just
Gundam, man. It's a Gundam the whole way down.
oh man, just a Gundam comes out of space, just like, hey guys, that'd be really
Hmm.
great. All right. On that note, let's go watch the episodes. Okay, we've watched all 6 episodes of Fooly Cooly
No,
Alternative.
no. You've already started wrong.
We've experienced, take two, we've
Thank you.
experienced all. Yeah.
There we
We got a
go.
lot to talk about, so let's just dive right into episode 1, which is significantly different from Progressive in, I think, really positive ways. Because I like that immediately it's a much more personal show than Progressive. It's much more
Mm.
about the main character, her friends, like the almost slice of life. If it wasn't for Haruko and her adventures, it would be kind of a really cool slice of life thing. Like one of my favorite shots in this entire season happens really early on where the 4 of them are like laying in the stairwell kind of in a pile on top of each other hanging out. I was like,
Yes.
all right, like that from that one shot I know that all 4 of them are super close friends with each other. And I think
Yeah.
that's what was missing from Progressive and, to be fair, the original one as well.
Yeah, the original one was very much a loner's story, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was like Naota is sort of at arm's length from everybody in his life. Uh,
One could say that the first one was the Vegeta storyline, or the Piccolo storyline, because he's
mm,
low.
yeah,
The second one was probably more the Goku storyline, because there
sure.
was a small group of very tight-knit friends, and this is the Krillin storyline, where he hangs out with Master Roshi, the turtle, the cat and the pig, and they all just go in a nice big bundle.
Right. I like it. Well, that's all we need to record, for AC Drag Ball. So there
Uh-huh.
we go. Um, I I think the animation is leagues better than Progressive is, pretty
Yes.
much immediately. Um, I'm sure there are some that watch it and are like, maybe I'm not crazy about the style, but I think from a quality and production standpoint, it feels way better than Progressive.
Yeah, I'm curious if doing progressive allowed them to get back into the swing of it, and then doing
Right.
this so soon right afterwards, just like it very much like when Phil Fish talks about making fairs, and he's like, "Oh yeah, so I'm doing all the designs for the worlds, and by the time I get to like the last world, I've improved so much that when I go back to the first world, it's just hot garbage again."
Yeah, exactly. Right. Um, I like that Haruko shows up early, uh,
Yes.
in in a fashion where it's sort of like, "Hey, I'm here, and I'm not really doing anything. I'm just
Also,
kind of here."
seems to be the first season where Haruko is actually a good guy.
Yeah, she doesn't seem like she is up to mischief or has some sort of ulterior motive. It's just sort of
Oh,
like,
she's up to mischief, but
well, I mean
not as
that's
not as
fair.
dark mischief as she used to be.
That's true. Just perverted mischief like normal.
Hmm.
I really, really like that this whole episode is all about them, this big build up for them building this bottle rocket. And like it starts with the one girl like building a little one, and they're like, it needs to be bigger. And they build this giant monstrosity, and as soon as they go to launch it, it gets crushed by a Google Maps pin from space.
Yep.
It's just like, okay, cool. Like they didn't even get to launch it. This is really good.
Hmm. I also I was so confused by like they're talking about the space travel and the emigration already on the television, and it's just like,
Yeah.
wait, hold on,
Yeah, I'm
what?
like, we're emigrating to. The rich are emigrating off of Earth because of something to try and go to Mars. All right. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, interesting. That is one thing that I certainly didn't expect to pay off at all, and I think it did. That's episode 6. We'll get there later.
Yes, but technically that's episode 5. Thank you very much.
That's true. I like that instead of Kana getting hit by a vehicle like we thought, Haruko just kicks her in the head to open the Eno portal. And then
Yeah.
the fake out with the forehead boner turning into just a little tiny glowing flower. Was really good.
Yeah.
Because it
And then
even
it's
made
even
the...
better because... You go ahead.
I was going to say, it's even better because it made the stretchy noise, too. Where it's like, stretch, and then it just goes, ping. It's...
Yeah. And then, of course, like, Haruko pulls on it, and it's not even, like, a mech or anything like that. It's a guitar.
And she's like, oh, it's a 19-something Fender something. And it's just like, oh, here we go. Okay.
I think this one is a Gibson. Thank you very much.
Okay. I don't know guitars, man. I just like Fooly Cooly. The rest of it is fine. I kept thinking that the guy that orders the like full moon soba from the restaurant, I kept thinking he was Eyebrows guy, and I don't think he is, but I don't know. And they try to explain Eno portals by saying it links the left and right parts of your brain.
It's
opens
literally,
a space
I have
portal.
that noted. I have that noted here. It is the ability to open portals based on the difference between thoughts in the right and left brain hemispheres.
Yep. And I was like, okay, I guess. Sure. Yeah.
Why
like,
not?
I just wrote, of course. Like, how did we not figure that out?
Yeah. I was like, I'm pausing this, I'm rewinding it, and I'm transcribing exactly what is written there because I need they at least try to explain something.
My last note here for episode 1, I really like the end credits sequence. It's
with the real life with the little cutouts.
Yeah, like the song is really cool. The way the cutout animates, like the blur effect they have on the real life locations is cool. Like I think that's just a cool where like Progressive's end credit sequence did not make sense at all. This one is kind of like, all right, this is a cool like.
Dude, Progressive's end credits is where you learned about how Haruko digested the fire people or whatever. It's
her and Jinyu separate or whatever. Yeah, I just yeah. Episode 2. This is one of my favorite ones of this group of episodes. This is the grown-ups episode.
Yes, I've literally written down like 1 or 2 word descriptions because it's like a theme that shows up throughout the entirety of it. Like, I'm pretty sure on the first one was it was just general friendship, and this is the quote unquote all grown up references episode.
Yeah, and I kind of like when I talk about alternative being more grounded, Haruko stuff aside, obviously. This is the sort of stuff that I mean, where it's like the main character is feeling jealous because overnight it seems like everybody in her life, including her brother, is dating, has all these feelings, has career aspirations, and she's just like, wait, we're in high school, like you're dating a college guy, like when did this happen? And I like that there's this immature jealousy about it. That feels pretty relatable.
Each episode is also focused on one of the friends. And this is
Yeah,
the Hiriji's episode, I believe her name is.
I think so. Yeah, I keep forgetting to pull up character names because they're not, I was gonna say they're not easy to remember except for pets, but I'm not good with names in general. It's not good. Um, I like that. The next note I have here is Haruko hits Kana in the head, and we get our manga head hit scene. And Haruko's kebab truck flies out. It's just
yeah.
I was like, wait, what came out of her head? And it like spins around and shows that it's her kebab food truck. And it's just like, okay, this is really good. Like you're just, and then of course a giant robot battle happens.
Yeah, and did you? I'm guessing you got the references in this episode at least.
Yeah, there were a lot in. I feel like there were a lot in this episode. Was this the one where the main character's talking to that her crush, the basketball team manager in the park? That might be a different episode.
No, that's one of the later episodes.
Okay. I think that's episode 4.
Is specifically the fact that the car looks like a transformer, and then when Haruko does the guitar shot, yells Michael Bay.
It's really good. It's really good. It's just
it's like okay, sure.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff she yells is like references that I don't really get, but that one was like, okay, cool.
Oh, there's one coming up where I know 1,000% it's a reference that you didn't understand.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm excited.
We'll get there.
This episode, I had 2 more notes here. I want to keep this rolling because we're like way over schedule because computers are giving us problems. I like the ending where her friend also thinks the kebab pita thing is too spicy. Showing that like Kana, the main character, isn't the only one that hasn't all the way grown up. Like the other 2 friends are just like, it's not spicy. Like, what are you, a baby? And her friend that was dating the college guy is like, whew, this thing's spicy, huh? And it's like, all right, man, yeah. The other note I wrote here is I feel like these episodes in Alternative move away from some of the stuff. It was a little bit less of an issue in half of the episodes of the original, but it was a real issue in Progressive where the NO portal is a sign of horniness, which is like the thing that you really pointed out in Progressive, where it's like, oh boy, I feel like they moved away from that completely. Like,
yeah, I did, because now they have an excuse for what the NO portal does. It's the difference in thoughts. And to be honest, like the description we get in episode 1, based on the difference between the thoughts in the right and left hemispheres of the brain, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Because it's then, okay, well, the second episode, the NO portal opening up, is the difference between her wanting to remain with her friends and be grown up like them, but also her struggling to be a grown up because logically she wants to be with them, and emotionally she doesn't because she still feels like she's a high school kid. That's 2 different thought processes that allow you to open an NO portal. It makes perfect sense, Boston.
Yep. Finally. Well, and I like that they tie the NO portal's opening to the original Fooly Cooly, where if you look at Samajima Mamami from the original one, his brother's ex-girlfriend, she kept talking about overflowing. Like, oh no, I'm going to overflow. And I feel like this season is when that finally pays off, where Hana is having this huge overflowing outpouring of emotions. Like, it's become almost unbearable, and that's when the portal opens up. And like, all right, I feel like they finally have all this stuff kind of coming together and kind of, here are what NO portals are, and here's how they open. Like, here's what it really is.
It's the quintessential retcon.
Yeah, although, yeah.
It made perfect sense based on them talking about it now, but that's no way in hell what they intended way back then.
Yeah. Episode 3, I thought I caught it in episode 2, but I like in episode 3, it's very clear that way more pins are showing up throughout the town, and like
Yes.
nobody is dealing with them. They're just kind of moving around them and going around their life. I like that the show doesn't make a big thing about that. It's just like, yeah, there was like 2 in the last episode, and now there's like 8, and people are just kind of tired of them.
This is the dogs and construction episode I've written, because this is where we learn all about the lady I don't know who. The main character keeps interfering in everybody's lives, and
Right.
this is the one with the slightly bigger girl who like wants to be a fashion
Momoko, I
Mosan.
think?
There we go.
Mosan, there we go.
Wants to be a designer. Worth noting, my second note for this episode is creepy Dr. Haruko.
Yeah, creepy Dr. Haruko comes back. Always nice to have this one. Yeah, I have this one parenthetically says the fashion show episode. Not a ton happened, but it's this fun kind of slice of life episode that kind of pays off in episodes 5 and 6.
This is all about I can't remember her name again. The lead girl's habits of interfering in other people's lives because she's just trying to help, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's Kana, whose name I kept forgetting, and I don't know why.
Same all of the time.
Yeah. Although
it is.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Haruko's rap is exceptionally terrible / kind of impressively bad in this. Like, it's not technically bad, but it's kind of, it at the very least makes Kana laugh. But
it's hard to listen to rap in a foreign language is the problem.
And also, one of my favorite deliveries in this whole show is after Haruko's been rapping for a minute, Kana just looks at her and goes, "Why rap?" like this is clearly like a pick-me-up thing, but why are you doing this?
Yes. This episode is where I wrote, "Who is Dad?" Trying to figure out who Kana's dad was, because he's always behind the newspaper, and I was like, well, clearly that's, Chekhov's dad figure.
Right.
But it's not. It doesn't matter. He is irrelevant to this story.
Yeah, he shows up and like tucks someone in like episode 6 or something.
Haruko is the fashion designer, and we have the red dress. And my final note for episode 3 is okay. So okay.
Yeah, like a lot happened that kind of will pay off in a little way later, but it was sort of like, all right, that was kind of like a cool slice of life thing that doesn't seem to matter in the end.
Yes.
Episode 4 is the Kana flirting with the basketball team manager guy.
Is this the episode where she finds out she doesn't like him?
Yeah, like at the end of the episode, it was just sort of like, I kind of like you, but like maybe I'm not ready to do this thing. I really love that perverted Haruko comes out flirting with the team manager, and all the girls calls her vulgar. They're all just like, gross.
It's because she's trying to get a reaction from Kana,
to open the NO portal, yeah.
Yes, and it's doing exactly what she needs to do to try and do so. Also, reference in this episode was Liger Bomb.
Liger Bomb?
Liger Bomb, like a liger tiger lion.
Oh, Liger Bomb. Yeah. Yeah, she even says like, Liger Bomb will help this. I was like, oh god, okay. Like, obviously you don't want to get sued, but it's really good hearing her say Liger Bomb.
Yes. And like this is also the episode with the soft jazz, when like Haruko kicks Kana onto the basketball like training guy, like the coach dude, and like suddenly soft jazz starts playing.
Yeah.
And then what do you know, we have like Mutant League basketball all of a sudden.
Yeah, I wrote basketball robot ox ? And there's some really good animation in this scene where like basketball Haruko is fighting this robot ox, and it's like, this is pretty impressive. And then she just like dunks
Space Jam has some stuff to live up to. Let's say that.
That's true.
The animation
That's true.
Is great.
Yeah. And then she of course like tries to leap over him like Michael Jordan, the eggs, her legs pinwheeling in the air, and then just dunks his face off. It's just like,
yes,
okay, cool,
sure, why not?
Yeah.
Episode 5.
Oh wait,
is just where...
one thing for episode 4. I really like that they've been putting this trail of breadcrumbs throughout the entire season that, like, this mall is really weird, huh? And then, like, there's one shot. Yes. There's one shot in, like, episode 3 where I'm like, that's the iron. Like, there's that thing is the iron, right? Like, it's just not done. And then at the end of episode 4, it just falls apart, and it's the iron. It's just like, ooh,
yeah, because it's under construction, and it, like, literally, it's just the iron at the top, and it's just like, come on.
That's really good. Episode 5, yes.
The episode 5 is where I have the note was, is this actually a secret lesbian awakening show? Because this is the Pets episode.
This is Pets is a real jerk in this episode. Like, it's this feels pretty high school, not in a negative way, but just like these 4 people are each other's entire worlds right now, and the idea that Pets has been friends with Kana for like over a decade, and Pets is like, yeah man, here's the real deal, I really hate you. It's just like, sorry.
But that's also a very teenage thing to do when you have to leave. Like, we see it all the time in mainstream media. It's like, we can't tell you that we have to leave. We're going to break you so that you just get angry. And
she's white-fanging her. She's, go on,
Which, just so everybody is aware, everybody who listens, if you have to leave somebody, don't make them angry and cause a fight to do so. Just talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it's the biggest D-bag move you can make.
Yeah, because, like, it's even interesting because Kana through the whole episode is just like, wait, everyone's going to Mars? Okay, that's sort of tough. Wait, Pets is going to Mars? Wait, she's rich? Wait, she's the daughter of who? And it's like this one revelation after another where Kana's like, well, maybe I don't actually know who my best friend is. And, like, why is that? Oh no, her mom is in a horror movie. See you later.
Yes, I've written Pets' creepy mom as one of my notes.
Yeah, that's a really good scene because, like, as they're walking through the house, you're like, this is gonna go bad real soon, right? And, like, the crazy eyes come out, and you're like,
and it does.
Oh, here it is. Here's the bad part.
So this is the episode. Well, number 1, my final. I've got 2 more notes for this episode. Fooly Cooly in Smash When, because the big fight in this episode is the giant hand guy, and I was like, well, that's clearly Mr. Whatever-his face is the big white glove guy from Smash.
Yeah.
So.
Oh god, I never remember his name.
Me neither. I think he's like Mr. Smash or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Dr. Hand.
But when Haruko steals Pets' mother's car, and she's driving it, she starts screaming about how, no, this is a real V8. Does this symbol for the video folks with her hands, which is the crossed fingers in like an X kind of thing, rips the steering wheel off and raises it in the air and starts chanting V8, V8.
Yeah.
That's a Mad Max reference, dude. Like a direct Mad Max reference.
That's really good.
Specifically the 2015 Mad Max.
That's really good. It's all going to come together in a future season. Oh, man. All of these seasons are going to be related at some point. That's our critical misses cinematic universe. Episode 5 was wild. My favorite part was Pets being trapped in this robot, being like, man, I hate you. It's like, can you like wait until she saves you at the very least with her like overly powered NO portal that sucks in this hand?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
I also like, unlike the last 2 seasons, like the portal opens up in Kana's head, she sucks in this giant thing, like the Brotherhood guy, the not eyebrows guy, is like the incredible power, and then they just drop it. It's like, yes, perfect. That's all you need to do. Just be like, wow, look at this power, and just like that's it. Don't get overly worried about it.
Yeah, you don't want to explain where the midichlorians come from.
100%. You don't need to. Just be like, whoa, it's red, it's cool, shoo, and it's gone.
Yeah.
All right, episode 6.
Okay.
The meat of the episode.
I'm just gonna say right here, I literally have one note for this episode, and I'm gonna zoom in here on my tablet, and I'm gonna show you what it is as I say it out
Okay.
loud.
I have like
So
12 notes here.
my note for episode 6 is I just don't know.
Yeah. So let's. I'm right there with you. So this episode starts on a really hot note of like evil dark blue Conti is with like this giant thing on his head is fighting Haruko. It's like totally in media res. We're just like, okay, weird. And then it cuts to like 3 weeks earlier. It's like, oh, okay. The forehead bandage returns, which is really great.
Yeah.
The one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the show is watching everybody in town stop what they're doing and watching those rockets launch. Where like you could just feel the hope in everybody just completely disappear, especially because the iron is now on the move, which
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to see the iron do its thing for once. Like, assuming this is going to be the last Fooly Cooly thing ever, it's kind of neat to see, like, oh, the hand clamped it, and now it's actually moving. And, of course, like, following the pathway of the Google Maps pins.
Yeah. And spoiler alert, by the way, it is 100% the last Fooly Cooly thing we're going to see.
Yes. Yeah, based on the ending. Yeah. Medical Mechanica is making its own Contis, which is really weird seeing all these Contis. Like, this one has brass knuckles, this one has a chain. It's like Road Rash.
This one has a giant mace.
Yeah, exactly. I like the return of the music from Progressive, that like do 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 do, like that. I thought that was really cool having that come back. When Kana takes the forehead bandage off and her hair turns that orangish Fooly Cooly color, that looks cool as hell. She looks super cool. The quote-unquote naked focal point looks super cool as well. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the bending space-time universe portal in the sky.
Yeah. I wish the show made a bigger deal about Haruko's guitar breaking. I had to watch the back half of this episode again to just get it. And her guitar breaks and she like freaks out about it, but it's only like 3 seconds long. It feels like it should kind of be a bigger thing. The Kana yelling out "Pets, I love you." I'm like, ooh, Kana, you finally get it. Like, just a really cool payoff for the entire season of like, I love my friends and I am a busybody and I'm going to help them even when I don't want to, and that's just who I am, and you can deal with it. Here we go.
Yes.
Open up a giant portal because it's Fooly Cooly. And then the rest of my notes for this show is just a lot of like, wait, what? Wait, what happened? Wait.
What? I think
So,
Confusion Island was the GIF you posted.
Confusion Island, yes. I live on
So
99.9% of this entire season, 100% understand. I get it. The last 2 minutes, I genuinely... So here's what I understand from research I've done and like the producers and directors and stuff. Apparently the naked focal point opens a portal between Earth and Mars because Kana wants to be closer to Pets, because Pets is already on Mars.
Okay.
As a result of the iron flattening out the Earth, or starting to flatten out the Earth, Kana pulls everybody from Earth onto Mars through the portal. And then Haruko gets thrown into a different portal, that same portal. I don't really understand. She sees her in the Vespa, which Vespa wasn't hers, get pulled into a portal where you see all of like the first seasons, like Naota and Kanti and all that, flashing, and then she lands somewhere else that has like a big dome on it. And then we see that Kana and all of her friends are on a planet that's sitting in Earth's orbit, and Earth has been completely, essentially glassed, like it's been completely smoothed out.
Yep.
And that's it. And like the first time I watched it, I was like, wait, did I miss? Wait, what did I miss? Where did this? What just happened? And apparently, the thing that I missed is that this is a prequel to Fooly Cooly. So when Haruko gets pulled through that portal, she lands outside of Mabase, and that's where the original Fooly Cooly starts. Which, sure, I guess I would have to watch this season like way more times to understand it.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Don't even talk like it makes sense, dude. It makes no sense.
It's extremely confusing, and I really, really love Alternative for like that first 99.9% of it, and I feel like if they could have just like addressed this ending, take even like one more minute to have like a voiceover or something to make it way more clear, this would be my favorite Fooly Cooly thing. But because it just seems like it rockets through 15 different really important story points in about a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and then just like, you got that right? I'm just like, no, what? I didn't get any of that. To me is a real bummer. It doesn't ruin the whole Alternative or anything, but it's just sort of like, yeah, I mean, you should watch Alternative too, but the ending doesn't make sense.
Yes, 1,000%. Like, honestly, that feels like this show period, though. It's like, yeah, it's cool. Like I said, it's a filler episode for a larger anime. Like, it's a filler season all the time.
And that's the real bummer, because I think the original and especially Progressive are both, because of their energy levels, I think they are very confusing, and they encourage repeat watches, which we're not doing here on this season. But I think one of the strengths of Alternative is, here is a really straightforward story that has Haruko's chaos in it, but even that, they don't get too in the weeds about like, here's why I pulled a guitar out of her head. It's like, oh, she pulled a guitar out of her head and then just beat up the robot. Like, okay. Like it being a bat in the original series, it's just a tool. And I think this is such a great show to be like, all right, you can watch this and kind of like, yeah, it's a little bit crazy, it's a little bit weird, but like it kind of makes sense. And the characters' relationships ground it even when there's this weirdness. And then, boy, it's just that last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very strange.
That's Fooly Cooly. I don't know a more appropriate note to end these 3 seasons on other than Confusion Island.
Yes, and I was blinking white guy, aka Drew Scanlon.
Yeah, to wrap up my thoughts about Alternative and kind of Fooly Cooly overall, I love the original series in a way that it is a good window into the chaos in my brain. I think, and it's like this really touching, really genuine story between Haruko and Naota. Progressive is not great / not good. It kind of, like you're talking about with the midichlorians in this one, it gets too in the weeds about worrying about all the pieces, and it has way too many things happening all at once, much to its detriment. And I think Alternative does a really great job of focusing on the 4 girls and having their relationship be the center of the show, and having Haruko be like this sort of chaotic good force over here, just kind of messing up their day and trying to, in a really terrible way, trying to make them feel better about what they're trying to do and what they're going through as teenagers.
Yes.
and then just kind of face plants at the end. Like, not, it doesn't ruin Alternative, it doesn't ruin all three of the shows for me. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I will have to Google that again and maybe watch some YouTube videos, because like I sort of, if it is a prequel, I get what they're going for, and it would be cool to like close the loop on the entire show, because if Progressive is the end of Haruko being a dog that is chasing cars, that's an appropriate end. And if Alternative ends on, here's where the beginning of the show starts, stop the native girl and all that, like, that would be kind of cool. But it really doesn't stick the landing in a way that's super frustrating, but not terrible.
I mean, all in all, I mean, obviously we're wrapping up a season here. Like, all in all, Fooly Cooly is fine. I think it's an okay watch. If you have spare time, which we don't at the moment, unfortunately, but if you have some spare time and you're looking to burn 2.5 hours, it's not a bad way to, very much like Akira, sit down and experience it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that bad. But for me personally, it's just like, okay, like, I'm just gonna smile and nod and be like,
look at the pretty lights and listen to the music.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was fine. I'm not gonna say that I would recommend going out of your way to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got some cool animation. And it's got some great visual effects, and it looks fine in certain places. My question to you is, does Fooly Cooly 1 hold up because of nostalgia? Or is it still one of those beloved things for you?
I think for me, it's still one of those beloved things because it's almost impossible to replicate. But I think because of how different and groundbreaking it was, it's almost the Seinfeld problem, where it's like, in 2000 when it came out, it was so different and so groundbreaking in like such a wild way that you couldn't help but respect it, even if you kind of didn't like it, where it's like, yeah, you're doing something way different with anime than we have ever seen. And I think one of the strong points of all 3 seasons of Fooly Cooly is that they really reward multiple watches. So you'll get additional references, you'll catch some stuff you didn't catch before. If I watch Alternative again, there's probably these little things all throughout the entire season that, we're building the ending, and maybe all of that stuff will start making sense now that I know where it goes. For me, I feel like Fooly Cooly for me is like always going to be one of those classic TV shows, nevertheless anime. And I feel like Alternative is probably going to sit alongside it as well, as kind of this thing where it's like, I really love it, and if you don't, I 100% understand why, and I can sympathize. It's not one of those things where like, oh, you just haven't tried. Like, try watching it with it. It's like, no, man. If you gave it an honest shot and you didn't like it, like, I totally get it.
Mm-hmm. Which, I'll be honest, that's where I stand right now. Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not in love with it or anything like that. It's not. I'm not going to be making references to Fooly Cooly, making references to other things, kind of thing. It's a good show. It's not great for me personally.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Like, if you like you, or like you said, like, I'm pretty sure you've probably seen this like 1,000 times over the course of your youth, and it's like, the more you watch it, the more you get out of it. That's fine. I won't be spending more time to do so.
Yeah, exactly, which is totally understandable. All right, well, that's Fooly Cooly, as much as we can go through,
I guess.
Yeah, and that's season 5 for us. We're gonna do something a little bit different with season 6, and we'll talk about it during episode 1 of season 6. So hope the format and everything isn't changing. We're just gonna do something a little different. So hope that you join us, and we'll see you for season 6. Bye.
Bye.